And so lab will get started from next week, right? Like, or from this week only, because we haven't
This week.
like, at least I.
I think Monday lab is already over. Those who will be doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, will give the task from today only.
But sir, the instruments that are needed, like the delivery is not possible. Like it will take at
No,
least
I am
10 days.
no. What I'll be showing today, that you will have to do. It is all simulation software based.
Okay.
Hardware things will start from next week.
Sir, hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, Arpan, you are audible.
Sir, during installation, should I check this box add XT8 to the path environment variable? Should I check this box or not?
Yeah, you should check it. Okay, I hope every one of you would have started installing. So by the time it gets installed, so what I am going to do is see first lab what you will be doing is you will be using Proteus simulation software to design a circuit using Atmega 32 for LED blinking. LED blinking project part I will show it. It is just a beginning, and you will do a waveform generation of sawtooth waveform. And the next experiment will be on designing of filter. So when you will be designing a filter using your Arduino Uno, so when you need to code that, so you will be needing the frequency coefficients for the filter coefficients. I'm sorry, not frequency coefficients. So filter coefficients will be needing. So how to generate filter coefficients for a particular filter design? That's what I'm going to show you right now using MATLAB. That's what I think sir wanted to do yesterday, but I had a system unavailability because of which I couldn't show. So what you should do is that how many of you have MATLAB already installed? Can you raise your hands? Okay, so a lot of people have MATLAB already installed. So those who have not installed it, please install it, or you can use the online version also to get how to design a filter. So this is very simple command. Just you go to command window in your MATLAB and type filter designer. So when you type filter designer, it opens a window. It's not visible here. Okay, you can raise down your hands. Those who need to raise their hands. So are you able to see the MATLAB screen?
No, sir.
Okay.
And before that, we were able to see, I think. Right now it's black.
Okay. I share the entire screen, then screen goes blank. Now you're able to see the filter design screen.
Yes.
Yeah, so you see this when you type the command filter designer in your command window in your MATLAB, so this screen pops out, which is a filter designer screen. So here you can choose between low pass, high pass, band stop. So first we'll generate say low pass filter, and we want FIR filter because we are having Atmega 32, which are 8-bit microcontrollers. So that 8-bit microcontrollers means we can store up to 8 bits. So so IR means the coefficients will infinite impulse response. So there will be a lot of coefficients. FIR means we'll have limited coefficients that can be used. And order, say no, we choose a order of no, say 15. So if the order is 15, so how many coefficients I'll get? Can anyone answer?
16.
Yeah. So if
Sir,
you have, yeah,
sir, could you please start this again? That filter, from where did you get this in MATLAB?
you you go to MATLAB command window and you type filter designer.
Okay, sir.
This is MATLAB FDA toolbox. So generally MATLAB FDA toolbox is used for designing a filter. So I have given in the chat box. So when you type this filter designer, you will get this MATLAB window. Then after you have specified your order, say then we choose fs as the sampling frequency. Say we choose 8 kilohertz of sampling frequency. F pass, f stop, as you see here, these two are the frequencies. So we want that below 500 frequencies should be allowed, above 600 frequencies should be cut off. So that's what is the low pass filter. So we take 500 and 600 as a f pass and f stop. And after you have specified the order, you choose what type of filter you want. You should choose the method FIR filter. So here you can change the method also, like equiripple or least squares. We'll just go with equiripple. I think in signal processing course you'll study more about different methods of generating a filter. And you have specified your sampling frequency. You have specified your f pass and f stop. Then you design the filter after you've specified your order and everything. So this is the filter you will get for low pass filter. So now after you have designed the filter, so I have specified the requirements that low pass FIR filter, order specified, sampling frequency, f pass and f stop. After specifying everything, I designed the filter by clicking here, design filter. Okay. Now what you have to do is that you have to uh, set these coefficients, export these coefficients into your MATLAB workspace so that you can read the coefficients. So just go to file and there you click on export. There you click you export it to MATLAB workspace. You export the coefficients because that's what you need. So when you do this export, then you get it in your MATLAB workspace, what the filter coefficients.
Sir,
Yeah.
so this filter design and this interface, it's in the microchip software or in like where do you find it? Like I actually didn't see
It
that
is
starting.
MATLAB. MATLAB. If your MATLAB Simulink is installed, then you will be able to see it.
Okay.
Sir, I have typed the command and it is showing that it requires one of the following toolbox like a DSP system
Yeah,
and
yeah,
signal processing. So which
yeah.
one to install?
You have to install both. You have to
Okay,
install
sir.
those toolboxes. You have to have install that MATLAB Simulink software also. It comes with MATLAB packages. So there are various toolbox. So if you install this toolbox, this thing will work. So this is a very simple step. So you see, after I have exported to workspace, I get a 16 coefficients of the low pass filter. So you know this is H of t, and you will have a signal, say any signal, say R of t. If you do the convolution, you get the filtered signal. So this is how you generate the coefficients. So this is very simple one. Just you go to filter designer, you choose your what type of filter you want, choose your order, choose FIR, and choose sampling frequency and the cutoff frequencies, and you just design the filter and export it to MATLAB workspace. Okay, so I'm stopping here. Uh, uh, Next I'll move to coding, and then I'll show the Proteus simulation. How many of you have installed the Microsoft Studio till now? Completely installed? Okay, I see 4 people have raised their hands.
Hello, sir. Actually it is taking time. It's a large file.
Okay, guys, how many have installed till now?
Sir,
Raise your hand. Yeah.
this application is not supported by Mac. Like, is there any alternative for this?
No, Mac it is not supported, so you'll have to get a Windows, or in Mac you can run some virtual Windows something. No, I mean this problem is there. So previously also we faced those people who had Mac, so they have to get somehow some Windows system.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
So,
So yeah.
excuse me, sir. What do I
Yes.
have to keep it in your host ID? It's blank.
Host ID. You can keep anything. Which one? How while installing you are asking.
Yeah, yes, sir.
That's. I think there will be by default there will be some ID. Just keep it. There is no need to change it.
Okay,
Okay. So
thank you.
those who have already installed, please do the coding also, and those who have not installed, well, please follow what I'm doing right now.
Sir,
So
so it's
what is
taking
the
time, sir.
yeah?
Could you please?
Oh, no problem. You take a note of how to write the code and what is the code, and you do the coding later on. And no, there in lab you have to do and show it to your TS. So there is ample amount of time for doing that. So just right now you follow me. Those who have already installed, do what I'm doing, and those who have not installed, please follow me and see what I'm doing. Okay. So now, when you open a Microchip Studio, or no, previously it was HTML Studio. So when you create a new project, so you get option to choose your compiler. So there is one C++. For C++ coding, there are I think 7 or 8 compilers, but for assembly there is only one compiler. So first you have to choose your assembler. So this compiler you have to choose because we are going to write coding in assembly language. So you can choose your location, or solution, or whatever here. Then you go to the next step. Okay, so here you have to choose your device, and we'll be using atmega 32. So you choose atmega 32, the first option you can choose. So while writing your code in assembly language here, so you will have two things. First is you have to choose your compiler. You choose the assembler compiler because you are going to write your code in assembly language programming. The next you have to choose the device. So we have atmega 32. So we are going to choose the atmega 32 device because this controller we are going to work. Then when you click OK, it will create a folder with whatever the project name is, and you get the space for writing your code also. Okay, so till this point it is clear. First you have to choose your or compiler, that you choose the assembler for writing assembly language coding. Then next you choose the device, that is the atmega 32. Then you start writing your code. So this is first we do this one dot include m32def.inc, then .org 0x00. So for the first line dot include, it is like when you write your C code in your first year, you would have remember you write something like include stdio.h, the standard input output function, or math.oh. So though it is similar to like that. So include m32df, what it does, it takes atmega 32 whatever libraries or whatever functions are there, so it will include that, so that you will be able to write your code. And this .org, this is for starting of no code. You will include it to start to specify some address, something. And then next we have to initialize a stack pointer. So the code for that is this one. So LDI, so Atmega 32, who can tell in Atmega 32 how many registers are there?
You're copying the
Okay,
code from somewhere? Or you writing?
yeah, I have already written somewhere.
Oh,
These are basic, these are starting everywhere. When you start writing a code in assembly in Atmega, in Atmel Studio. So these 6 lines are like, this is the first 6 lines that you write. First is you include a library, second you initialize a stack pointer. So now my question is Atmega 32, how many registers are there?
32.
Yeah, that is why it is Atmega 32. 32, what is the specification of Arduino Uno you are going to buy? Atmega 3208P. I think you would have noticed it. So 32 stands for there are 32 registers, and 08 is the 8-bit. That is the each register is 8-bit. So there are 32 registers. There are some general purpose input output registers. There are some dedicated registers for ADC and DAC operations. So those ADC operation registers you'll learn it in upcoming classes. So so and there are some general purpose registers. Okay, so now this R16, this is a general purpose register. General purpose register means you can use it for giving some input, giving some output. So LDI operation stands for load. So what, and RAM end is the it is the end bit of RAM. So there is a SRAM in Atmega 32. So in that memory, the last 16-bit address, it takes that address. So high means the higher MSB, higher bits of that 16-bit, and low stands for the LSBs, the lower bits, lower 8 bits. So we SPH stands for stack point high and stack point low. So first we uh, what first we do is that we take the RAM end for high 8 bits. Those 8 bits we load into the register R16. Then we take the value into R16. Then we give it to the stack pointer high. Stack pointer is 16-bit. So stack pointer high means the higher 8 bits, and then the low RAM end. Then the R16. So stack pointer low. So stack pointer low means the LSBs, the lower 8 bits. So this is how we initialize the stack pointer. So stack pointer
so
initialization
what is the
is
full form of LDA?
LDI load data into something like that. I'm not sure. It's, you can Google it. You'll go through this instructions slowly. Sir will take classes. Like there are a lot of operations: add, subtraction, and loading, output, giving input. So all this instruction. LDI is generally used when you
What
are
is it? What
using
is a stack pointer?
stack pointer is like you use basic stack pointer when you are about to use SRAM and flash memory. So you have to do that. Initialize the stack pointer. Stack pointer means there are instructions. So when you initialize the instructions by push pull operations, they get stacked. So next, what we are going to do is
So can you just repeat
we
the 4 lines for like last time, like what happened actually?
Yes, sir. Can you repeat those?
there are
Yes, sir.
one of you can speak.
Sir,
Okay,
So
so
can
see,
you can you repeat
there
the
is a
four
SRAM.
lines?
Yeah, I'm repeating the 4 lines. Then somebody was speaking, he can speak after that. So there is a SRAM in Atmega 32. So we are accessing the last 16 bit of the SRAM. So RAM end means that 16 bit, and registers in Atmega 32 is 8 bit. So R16 is one of the registers in Atmega 32, and we are loading the higher the MSBs, 8 MSBs value, whatever value it has, we are loading that value into R16. Then we are we have to initialize a stack pointer high and stack pointer low. So we have to basically initialize the stack pointer, which will stack the instructions into flash memory of your Atmega 32. Like if you go to architecture of Atmega 32, when you write a code, the code gets loaded to flash memory. So SPH is the stack pointer high bit, high register bit, and SPL stands for stack pointer low. So when we have to initialize the stack pointer, for first SPH, we take the SRAM and 8 MSBs, and then lower RAM ends, we load it to SPL. So that's how it is. Then next we
So
what
does
we do
over
is
here
that we
R16 is used as a temporary register over here. just because you wanted
Yeah,
to.
it is a general purpose register. We are using it as a temporary register for input and output.
And so, what does out to do?
So out out is like like if see LDI is used, like these are not absolute, these are not specific, but generally LDI means there is a register already available, so we are loading that value into register. Out means whatever value that is there in the register, it will come as output to the stack pointer high and stack pointer low. Out will get more clear when we do the coding. Okay, so next
Okay,
what
sir.
I'm doing, next we're loading 0xFF to register 16. Now what is 0xFF? It is in 8-bit, all bits are high. Okay, so it is a hexadecimal presentation. Okay, and FF means what? All 4 bits both are high. So all 8 bits are high. So and then we do out DDRA R16. So out DDRA R16, what it does, it sets the port A as the output port. So in Atmega 32 there are 4 ports: port A, port B, port C, and port D. Okay, so we are going to set the port A as the output port. So to set the port A as the output port, this is the code for it. Then next, what we do, we are going to write the code for LED blinking. So for LED blinking, what we'll do is that first we'll set the pins of port A to high by setting our R16 register to 0xFF. Then we provide that 0xXFF value to port A. And then we call the delay. We wait for some time. That LED is high. Now all pins are high. Now then we set all the pins to low, 0x00. We load the value of R16 to 0x00. Then we give that register 16 out value to port A output. And then we call the delay and we wait for some more time. So LED will off for some time, then LED will be on for some time. So that is how LED blinking will happen. So out means here you see there are two things. Now out DDRA R16, by calling this command, this instruction, I have set the port A is the output port. I have defined a port A is the output port. But when I call out port A R16, that means whatever value at R16 is having, port A will will have the output of that value. Now after you have defined this thing, that you have called for delay and you have set the LED blinking part, that you have then we have to define the delay function. Delay is not a predefined function in assembly. So for calling delay function, what we do is that we first load R16 and R17 with 0 values. Then we start another loop which decrements the R16 value by 1 bit. DEC means it will decrease the value by 1 bit. So right now R16 is all 0. When you decrease by 1 bit, it will go, all bit will go high. And then it will BRNE loop 1. BRNE loop 1, BRNE stands for branch if not equal. So BRNE loop 1 means it will check in loop 1 that if the R16 value is equals to 0. But because it is decrease, there is a decrease instruction. So it is not equal. So it will enter into the main loop again. So into the loop 1 again. So then it will decrease R16 by another bit. So there are 4 ones. Then it will decrease to 4131. Then it will decrease to 41 21, then 01. So by 1 bit, it just keeps decreasing. So there are, we set 2 registers to decrease, and whatever time it takes as per the clock of Atmega 32. So that is the delay time. And after then, if the loop is over, it has decreased, both the registers has been decreased by one time each. It has come back to 0. Like it started from 0, it will go to high, then it will start decreasing and go to 0. Then we go to loop 1. So then when delay function calls comes, it will go there. So this is the code for LED linking part. So after you have written a code, you have to build the solution. So when you build a solution, it's just pressing of F7. You press F7, or you can build it from here also. build solution. So if your code is all okay, there is no errors, the you will get this message like build succeeded, one succeeded or up to date.
So how much delay like did you generate, or like we have to use this kind of delay function, or
yeah, this is a standard delay function. It is dependent on your clock frequency, like at what frequency the instructions keep happening. So we have started the
yeah, but
register
delay
16
can be
value.
generated like,
You can't define like 1 second delay I want, that is not there in assembly. So you have to take a
no,
register.
yeah, I'm saying there are other ways to generate delays, like but
Yeah, there are a lot of other ways. There is not one
So
solution
can you
to do any
explain the
problem.
delay
There are
function
multiple
again?
ones.
yes, sir, like some
Delay
comments
function
like
is basic.
that Brian.
BRNE is branch if not equal to. So see, R16 is now set to 000. So now it's all 0. Okay. Now it is all 0. So it goes to loop 1. Then DEC R16. So it will decrease by 1 bit. So when all 0 decreases by 1 bit, so it goes to all 1. Then it will go to BRNE loop 1. So when it goes to BRNE loop 1, branch if not equal to loop 1. So it will check the value of register 16 if it is equals to 0. But it is not equal to 0 because it has decreased by 1 bit. So then it will, then what it does, it enters the loop 1 again. So it will decrease again. So it will decrease again. Then next decrement, it will become 0.
Why is it compared to 0?
Because we will decrease by 1 cycle, and when it see, now it has decreased by 1, it goes to 0. Then it will decrease by another bit, it will become 0 1. Then it will
No,
decrease by another bit, it
that
will
was not
become
my
0.
question. My question was, why does the BRNE command compare the data stored in the register 16 to 0?
It will it when the loop 1 started, initial value of register 16 was 0. So that is what it compares with register 16 at 0.
But sir, R16 is a general register, right? We could have used R15 as well. But how it will come to know it was comparing with R16?
No, that is how you define loop 1. No, so that is how assembly instruction goes. Like you are decreasing R16, then you go to BRNA loop 1. So it will compare with R16 because you have decreased the value of R16. If I put 15 here, then it will compare the value of R15 to whatever the initial value it was there.
So one line before it will compare, is it?
Yeah. So basically, BRNA loop 1 means like what the value, register value change, it compares with that value. So it started with like it will goes on decreasing when it reaches 0. So when R16 is 0, so then it stops this loop. Then it goes to the next iteration, that is DEC R17. It is BRNE branch not equal to. So it checks for this branch, like loop 1 is a branch we have defined. Then after this delay completed, then it goes to rjump loop. So it starts the loop. Okay, so now I have 10 minutes. So this is the code you have to write. Please take a picture of it, or whatever you want to save, you save it. And then you run this code. And after you have run this complete successfully, you have built the code. Then wherever you
Hello,
have
sir.
kept your code, go to that place. Generally, okay, let me complete. Just let me complete. Generally, if you go to in your documents in Microsoft Studio, no, in your documents in your Atmel Studio, you go to that 7.0. You will go to your code profile. There will be a folder will be created with whatever name you have given. So then you go to debug file, and debug file you will get this hex file, assembler application 2.hex. So this hex file is required. This hex file will get generated only when you successfully build a solution. After you have built a solution, you'll get this hex file, and this hex file will be required for us. So now what to do, you have to install this software, Proteus Professional. I think Proteus 9 is available. So when you go or try to install Proteus software, generally you will get the free version, but the free version will not work because we have a lot of complicated circuits to be designed. So you will have to you try to get crack. I think there are a lot of options available how you can get the professional without making the payment. So once you get the Proteus software, so right now all of you please focus what I'm doing, because none of you would be having probably Proteus software. So, so then what you do after you have installed your Proteus software, there are two options. One is PCB layout or schematic capture. So you go to the schematic capture. So there, here you will get an option to design a circuit. So after you have come to after you have installed successfully Proteus software, then you go to schematic capture, and once you reach schematic capture, the screen looks like this. So here you click on P, and from here you can choose a device. So I have chosen Atmega 32. Okay. So once I choose Atmega 32, so I can place my Atmega 32 here. And after selecting Atmega 32, I need a LED. So there are a lot of LEDs you can take. I am taking this LED VIBY. So I have taken this LED. So you see there are two things. There are four ports: port A, port B, port C, port D. So first I choose the Atmega 32 device. Then I have chosen the LED from there. Then I connect to LED. So for connecting, you just need to click on these things. Click on the pin of the 40 pin to LED. So I connected LED to the 40th pin of Atmega 32, which is the port A, PA0 pin, port A0 pin. Then I need to connect a ground. So you go to terminal modes. From there you will get the ground. So you connect ground to LED, and this is how you have made the circuit. So there is nothing very difficult
Sir,
here. Yeah,
how do we make this ground connection on a breadboard?
on breadboard.
Yeah, like when we are doing this practically.
You will not have a breadboard. You will have a Arduino Uno board. So that when you power, you will have a power
Oh,
power
okay.
output powering pin there. So it has the ground pin set by that. So then when you have this Atmega 32 connected, 41 pin, LED connected, ground connected. So you double click on this Atmega 32, and you see here there is option for loading your program file. So now go to your program file, and go to the same place where you had you had your code written. So I had written assembler application to go to debug, then choose the hex file. So when I have chosen the hex file, and I'll open it when I load it. So this is called programming the Atmega 32. In Proteus, you double click on it, and you choose the program file. Okay, so that is how you load it here. But when you will have a hardware, you will have a connector for programming into your Atmega 32. It will load the program instructions into your flash memory. Then when you simulate, you see the LED will blink. So you can simulate from here. So when you go to your lab, your first task will be this LED blinking. So you have to write the code. Code I have already shown. So I hope everybody has taken a note of that code. And when you write the code, you run the code, hex file will be generated. So then you come to Proteus, design your circuit, and that hex file or that program file that you set to that you will load into Atmega 32. When you will load into Atmega 32, that program file, it will run the instruction, and it will blink the LED. Okay, so this is first thing that you will be doing in your lab, and the second thing that you will do is next.
So, can you show that file once, like the code?
Yeah,
Sir,
so yes.
sir, in theory, like will this like assembly coding be taught in detail, or like in theory?
It will not be taught in detail, but the important instructions like add instruction, subtraction instruction, BRNE loop instructions, all these instructions sir will go through. That is there in dataset. So there will be multiple what you call that, programming tutorials will be there, like assignments will be given when you will do assembly assembly programming. So you'll get more idea on assembly coding. So these are just starting. So for your lab, you do this LED blinking project, and then second thing you do is that a generation of sawtooth waveform. Okay, so take a picture of this circuit. So I am interfacing a DAC with Atmega32 port B. So what we are doing is that this port B, it will generate a digital signal which is like a sawtooth waveform. Then DAC takes input from the Atmega32 and it converts it to analog signal, and we connect a oscilloscope in that, and by connecting the oscilloscope we no, generate the waveform. So like no, if I run this simulation, no, oh, sorry.
So you're loading the same code, like generating the delay, right?
No,
And
no. If so, okay, let me show you. Actually, there is just wait. I'll show you. So this, I'll show you the task first. So if you open oscilloscope, this is the sawtooth waveform that you see. It is a different code. The code for sawtooth waveform you have to write on your own. So this is your task for lab, that you first do the LED blinking part, then you write code for sawtooth waveform generation and make the circuit and do the sawtooth waveform. Okay, now I'm going to show you another thing. What I'll do is that, see, in this code, this port A was set as the output, but if you see my circuit here, it is the port B is the one which I have connected. So what I'm going to do, I'm changing everything in my code to port B. Okay, so the same LED code which I had run initially, I changed it to port B. I set output port as B port. Then I'm loading the R16 values to port B in the loop with on and off. Now I build this solution. Okay, and then I go to Proteus. No, then here I load that particular program file of the LED blinking file. Now run it. To open oscilloscope, you have to click on debug here and open your digital oscilloscope. You see, it's like a square wave. The LED was on for some time, then it was off for some time, then it was on for some time, off for some time. So this is the LED output that you're providing to LED. The LED was blinking when it was on, and it was off, on and off like that. But no, but the task for you is to generate a sawtooth waveform. So the code for that, you will have to write the code on your own. So first task is LED blinking. You have successfully done LED blinking. Go to sawtooth waveform generation. You have done the sawtooth waveform generation. If you complete that also in your lab, then you go to filter design part. I think in that ADC DAC interface will come and more things will come. It will be the things will be get clear by the professor or the TS in their lab.
so can you do us a favor? Like, can you upload a drive link like for this Proteus cracked version, or if you have?
You, I'll have to see. This was installed one long time. I don't know where the files will be there. So these are available. I think those who are in campus, they can get for DC++ probably, or they are even available internet. But still, you have any issue, are not able to get it. So drop a message to me. I'll provide.
Okay.
So like, can you give us some resources for like knowing the assembly coding part, like
I didn't get you. Can you be a bit louder?
sir, hello, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
So like, can you give us some books or like resources for studying this assembly like coding?
Assembly, that Majidi book is there, which Sir had provided. That has clear instructions how to program your Atmos Studio ABR programming using assembly language. There are a lot of examples, interfacing keypad, interfacing a motor with Atmega 32. So that book, soft copy I have. I'll provide the drive link for that book by today evening.
So like, you can also upload it in like file sections of the MS Teams. It will be like better.
Yeah, I'll upload it into this Microsoft Team theory class files. That Majidi book soft copy I'll provide. So that soft copy will be a little older edition. If you want later edition, I don't know how you'll get the soft copy, or probably you may have to buy. But I think they all are almost similar. Okay, so that's all for today.
So one more thing, like, can you show that LED blinking circuit wala thing? Just Proteus.
You want the circuit or you want the code?
No, I just want to see the circuit.
The assembler application 2.hex will not work right now because we have set the port B as output. So instead of changing the code, what I'll do is that I had previously designed file that I'll look. Okay, guys, so that's all for today. I'm stopping here.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I am not added in MS Teams, so are you added me, sir? Can you edit me?